A good evening, dear viewer, and thank you for being with us this Friday evening. It's the Face Off, and you are on WBS TV. This evening, I am not in the shoes of a panelist. I'm taking on the hat of Peter Chibazo. Peter Chibazo is probably right now somewhere in the clouds, going somewhere out of this country. And I have the task of stepping in as moderator for the program tonight. This evening, I have some usual suspects and probably one not so usual. On the panel, I have Charles Ruomshana. Charles, you are welcome to Face Off once again.
The Almighty God is great.
Next to Charles is the man from Karamoja, David Pulko.
Good evening, viewers.
The man
Pleasure always being here.
The man from the Uganda People's Congress.
The Congress of the People.
The Congress of the People.
Yes,
You're welcome to the show.
Or the people of the Congress.
Or both. Deepa. Deepa, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Deepa is a lawyer, a social scientist, a gender/women activist, and so many other things.
That should be enough for today.
My mother used to pronounce Fox's name as Books.
So you wanted to say Deepa.
Deepa.
Deepa, thank you very much. Dear viewer, this evening, we would like to take the panelists to reflections on what's been going on in the process, the political process in this country. The process has been going on, and either we are approaching primaries or we are in the preparatory processes for primaries for each of these political parties. I have come across writings. I've come across people discussing. The other day it was two professors, and one was saying this process is undermining the democratization process in this country and breaking apart the parties. The other one was saying, no, that's how democracy is built. And we thought we should talk about this, and we will request you to share with us your views later on in the show. But there are challenges in the NRM, there are challenges in the UPC, and I'm glad Pulko is here. There are issues in the Democratic Party. There are issues all around in the FDC. David Pulko first. This process of trying to get people who will go and present themselves to the voters on behalf of the party, has it divided and therefore undermined the party and democracy, or is it making it stronger?
I think some parties are definitely getting stronger. Others are getting weaker and weaker. And overall, it looks like those at the helm of these political parties, there's a clash between the parochial or selfish interests of individuals that are manning or that are positioning themselves within these parties beyond just the primaries. So there are calculations that go beyond the current 2016 elections, that even go to 21 in some calculations. Others in the opposition, like Uganda Post Congress, definitely Dr. Olaro Tunu tried to manipulate the primaries for election of a party president and therefore its flag bearer. Didn't work out. And therefore tried a number of scenarios where nobody would get 37 districts, for example, required endorsements before you can be taken to the delegates conference. Or try a Putin. Your time is up. You try to get your deputy to get ahead of everybody else so that then you play the other role like President Putin did. But it produced a kind of an NRM substation now established on 6th floor of Uganda House, the party headquarters, guarded by police, orders from above. And these are not deployed by CPS. They are not at the request of Milton Obote Foundation to enforce and defend a group led by Kena, who was given a lot of money, as it was. Again, of course, Museveni has been so generous to the Obote family of late. And therefore used to throw Otuno out kindly by force, if there's such a word, like kindly by force, fleeing. This was primaries, fleeing through the toilet substairs, okay, for servicing a Gorofa like Uganda House. Now, rather than redress this, so we have seen the use of state institutions like the police, the misuse actually, for them to police internal party primaries, so-called read them guidelines. Even when there were no guidelines, you saw a mama being stopped from going to Mbale as an aspirant, not even as a candidate, which the Presidential Election Act allows any aspirant to go around and consult citizens. So we have seen interference. Even now, there's pressure to Electoral Commission of Chigundu and therefore the Rwakojos to recognize Akena as the party president of Uganda Post Congress, even when such a delegates conference to elect a party president has not yet taken place. But of course, Akena called his own consultations, and within therein tried to move a motion to turn it into a delegates conference. And yet the UPC constitution is so clear how a delegates conference for purpose of election of party president should be convened. 1 month notice, called by party president, an agenda circulated. So we are seeing internal constitutional processes being manipulated. You saw how President Museveni tried to put himself ahead of everybody else in the amendments of the party constitution. As we are moving to the party primaries for the presidential elections, you saw the use of crime preventer sitting in front. You saw the amending of the rules to make election officials to be appointees rather than elected. You saw how Central Executive Committee must now be the one to filter who should go to the delegates conference. And you saw how Amama Mbabazi, because of his expressed interest, being locked out or actually voted out of the Central Executive Committee. So there are manipulations that have taken place inside for either constitutional or party guidelines, or made in such a way where President Museveni is the one chairing the SEC, the NEC, which comes with the guidelines. Okay, now instead of doing like Muntu did, i.e. you resign because you're going to participate in the primaries, you hand over your office so that you go and participate and then come back later. But we didn't see that of Museveni, we didn't see that of Otuno, we didn't see that of Mao, we didn't see, so there is self-interest that has come at the fore in the face of these primaries.
And that's undermining.
And it's undermining democratization. And when you look at even the creation of new districts, you find that Anite, who gave the president and knelt and beseeched him to run again, now is being considered, because of pressure that I got from the historical command. So now I'm finding that Koboko is being divided to allow Anite to run, because the one who's there, Badadiri, is very much on the ground. And you find Ulanya, who has been singing praises to President Museveni, his constituency being split to...
Your point is made.
To create blue skies.
Your point is made,
So we are seeing manipulations. We are seeing interference of the rules. We are seeing the skewedness. We are seeing, oh boy.
Yeah,
Your
point is made. Your seen point is made. Charles, do we need primaries? And do they undermine or strengthen democracy?
The political parties are supposed to be built from the bureau. Like the way a tree, a crop starts from the bureau, from the roots. And so that by the time you have the top leadership of the political organization, they are merely servants of the mass that own the organization. So if you are therefore to arrive at that top management in a democratic manner, then you should hold elections within. But the situation we have here is that these political Actually, they are not even political institutions because some of them are even gangs. These groupings are owned by individuals. They're like companies, and then they now go and recruit down, but in such a way that those who own them control what ground is. Now, I'll give an example. The National Resistance Movement is owned by, on top, President Museveni, and therefore he builds it on the structures of the state. So if you see, rather than him go to recruit cells at a village level of the party, forget about this registration, because they were just merely registering those who are interested. And that's why the whole country could. Rather than do that, the branch he's constructing is the branch of the militia, the crime preventer, the 30 per village. And that is being done by police. So they train, actually I'm following up why Kawese was shifted from operations to personnel. The indications I have, because you pushed their money to take care of the polling police, the police constables, the polling constables, because you will need at least 2 policemen per polling station, and that's a huge number. So there must be money for them, of course, which is being arranged, and those should be NRM operatives, because police cannot cover polling stations and then do the other jobs. So what you do, you now get these crime preventers who are NRM operatives, but operating as police. And if you monitor what Brigadier Tumukunde is doing, I've operated with him before, I know how those games operate. Is a serving officer who has refused to leave and is building cells. So you have General Kari is building here. The other day, Brigadier Kayanja was saying the law won't stop him. So he's already constructing in Rakai, to mention but a few. So, but the problem, according to the structure of the party and their constitution, they have their own units. So at LC1, you have an LC1 committee, the equivalent, the village committee, the NRM village committee. It's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be at LC3, a Gomborora committee. Now, because it's a party for eating, rooting on top and rooting down, it is only the local council 3 who get some money, who get some allowance, or maybe councillors. And it's not true that all local government units were taken over by NRM. So where the NRMs took over local government units, that's where you find NRM operational, like at LC5 and Member of Parliament. That's at the county level. Now, those units which would not take over the LC system are not operational. And that's what brings the crisis now in NRM. Because President Museveni and his team woke out of sleep only to find that those units that were not operational, Amam Babas maintained them. And so you have that. Now, if you check in NRA, if you check in the Parliament, independents are more than opposition. Those who came as independents are more than opposition. And if you continue to check, these independents defeated flag bearers. So the flag bearers won in the primaries, but lost the general election. And if you continue to check, there was a policy from Amam Baba's General Secretary General that the party should support the flag bearer and fight the independent. And President Museveni instead supported, with the General Sari, supported the independents. Because the flag bearers were Amam Baba's. So the two.
Rukwago is an independent.
I wanted to handle a deep. Now then you got CP, if I can leave it at that. CP, their delegates conference, it's Ruchamuzi and the daughter. And maybe the daughter's man or whatever it is, because there is some man somewhere. So, and you have the delegates conference, it's complete. 1 loaf of bread, 2 sodas, and they can elect their leader. So there isn't a lot of contradiction. Now, DP...
Are you being very uncharitable? No. And very unkind to the Conservative?
Have you ever heard of... Where have they sat? Tell me. Others are meeting in the hotels, maybe meeting rooms.
At Popor. They met at Popor.
When?
They are delegates.
They are lucky that it is either the daughter who's the MP or it's the father who becomes the MP.
I can see you are struggling.
No, but they met at the Popor. That is fact. That is fact.
I can really see yeah, I'm not saying that they don't meet.
Oh, okay. Because you said it was 1 loaf of bread.
Yeah,
and I said that crowd.
That's why you never hear of controversies in the Conservative Party.
We have actually had them several times.
Now,
in Sambu. You remember?
DP.
No, Procol is saying that I should not
DP.
bring those
Interrupt you.
issues.
No.
Just say you'll have
You see, that's how it's structured. There may be one or two conflicts, but the family tries to edge them out. So I'm not contradicting you. DP Delegates Conference, according to Rukwago, the other day we had him here. They collect them from Arua Park, etc., and then they have the conference, which they had, and you saw it was in someone's hotel. And if you follow the dynamics of that someone's hotel, Professor Gilbert Bukenya is NRM. He wants to pick it, and it's also constructed on UIP of Sejusa. You remember when he was still external security, when he was still head of coordinator of intelligence, he had built some youth group, some youth platform. So he names them delegates, and they can easily have a grouping, an agreement to elect the MBDs, the MAO, and then exclude the Rukwagos. Even in the municipality.
The Katomi meeting, there were people from Arua Park.
But Rukwago was here. We were seated here, Rukwago was there.
But
and
you know,
Rukwago,
actually, that day I didn't agree with him. He didn't even agree with you.
Yeah, but you see, you have an option because you don't know.
Because he didn't agree with you, actually, what you are choosing him of, you remember?
That was something else, not on the composition of the DP. And I don't contradict him because I know that's a fact.
Okay, they collect people from Arua Park.
Yeah, because I'm not saying they collect only from West Nile. Here in Kampala is a representation of delegates. So you can have people who are here who are not necessarily delegates. So you come from Kabare, you come from Chisoro, you come from here, and you have delegates. When actually these delegates have not come from the other end to a democratic process. Okay. Now, Rukwago did not stand as member of parliament because the group opposite to Rukwago, of the Mbide type and the Youth Brigade, they wanted to use the Nyakana networks to battle him out. And therefore they were borrowing the NRM networks, the Nyakana networks. Now, FDC, it was constructed around specific persons. The Jack Savitis, the Ruzindanas, the Nandara Mafavi, Okumu Regan, etc. And each one of those that basically, so in like in Rukunjiri and Rukunjiri municipality, Kajinda is basically Kafrog, it just pulls. You cannot come in that system. You cannot come in that system and you become a flag bearer. I saw how they threw out
Please don't call him a frog. That is really insulting.
You tie in a banana fiber and you pull. You will ensure, you will maneuver the system.
I mean, really.
What did you say? They use Kamba. You will ensure that he has his Kajin. Then you have Ingrid Turnawa, you see how they have been maneuvering the system. So they construct delegates in such a way that they will get the product they want, and the battle remains between Muntu and it remains between Dr. Chiza Besigye, because they own those delegates. For instance, in the last delegates conference, Jack Savitt wanted to stand as chairperson, the chairman of the organization. And this lady, I think from Rubaga, who was the chairperson, then I forget the name, said no, protested that the seat of the chairperson is reserved for Uganda. And they therefore elected, agreed and put Birigwa. So, and because they hadn't tutored delegates on where now to press Jack Savitt, when he stood down, he lost. Because the delegates hadn't been tutored. So they operate as alliances, and those alliances are owned. So Kenya knows when he brings them, he knows how to do it. So they sit somewhere and share those positions.
I thought politics, you have been there. It's about that.
Yeah, yes. But you see, the problem is not when if the delegates had come through a democratic process, that wouldn't have been a problem. But they are manipulated. The construction is done from the top to eliminate and to construct, and that's why Nabira was complaining because of the way the delegates were. So the organization is owned by the top, like the way the NRM organization is owned by the one who has a long arm that touches into the treasury.
Deepa, do you share Charles's view that an honorable member of parliament is a kafrog?
No, of course not. I don't, and I'm not as political matured as my brother Romshana. But the question you basically asked is on democracy. correct me if I'm
yes,
wrong.
and these
The
primaries,
primaries and how they, whether they reduce on democracy or they don't.
or they add.
Or they add. Now, I'm just looking at the lay persons, because when you introduced me, you didn't introduce me as an active politician or anything.
No, I said you are a
basically,
lawyer,
one of those
you are a
things.
gender activist.
So if I go to the basic definition of democracy, which we learned in our political science classes,
where we belonged, or
where
there were the same
all of us
lecturers
actually,
and,
started from. If you remember, the definition was mainly from those Athens days where the local, the common man had all the rights, took over the rights over the aristocrats, right? And they had powers. Through electoral process, they could exercise their power. Now, the question is, do these primaries allow the common man to do that? The common man doesn't have powers on that.
That's the answer I gave you. That I
Right?
gave you.
So we are all on agreement that they don't. But then the political parties are like your political organizations, and they have their right. Like we just said, if it's over a loaf of bread and a cup of tea, they're allowed to associate and come up with whatever people they want to come up with for purposes of elections. When we look at our history in the country and we look at the elections, you will realize that the electorate is more active during the LCA elections and MP elections. The local man is actually more active at that stage than on national level, because they know it's their periphery, it's their area, they know the people they're dealing with. Now, it is not a bad process. The primaries are not a bad process. The question is, and I could agree with my brother here when he was sounding very frustrated and say the whole system is just messed up. We adapt, like everything else in our country, we adapt these systems from abroad or whichever developed country. But when we implement them here, we don't really follow what's supposed to be followed. Like you said, the power should come from below. What's happening now, it's coming from above. So that is where the problem is. But otherwise, per se, if we are to go by the rules, it is very healthy for democracy. For example, now like the NRM competition, stiff competition that's going on. I was just looking at the papers the other day, and you have 6 contestants in Kampala. Mrs. Museveni, who had gone off the race, I read today's papers, she's back in the race. It's kind of healthy, because at the end of the day, there's sifting going on.
You mean God changed his mind?
She changed.
No, I mean God.
I don't know about, oh yeah, she did
Because
mention.
God had told her to leave. So
Yes.
has God changed
No,
his-
she's standing for Ntungam. Today's New Vision, yesterday's New Vision, which came out, I think, this morning. She's standing.
And you see, initially she left. She had
Because
left
God
because
had
God
told,
had,
yes.
yeah, now God has changed.
Well, God can change, but as far as the discussion goes, I think democracy is actually pushed through these primaries. If we're to go by the rules, it's an excellent system, because now the common man has powers at the end of the day to pick through the best out of the parties, because the party people themselves would know their people. But in the system that we have, you don't pick the best. You pick what suits
You.
the head, which is the sad situation that we have.
So, I think that David,
Yeah.
your party has probably had a lot of attention, media attention, headlines, as you constituted a controversial and disputed General Assembly, and then towards doing the primaries and getting people to represent the party when you go to the elections.
Yes.
Now, I mean,
This is what happened.
if this is not helping,
Well, Uganda Post Congress tried something like in the US, you say these are adapted from elsewhere, to have, as the first step, to have district caucuses or district conferences. These are the executives of the constituencies of UPC and the district executives meeting at the district headquarters to endorse candidates, meaning to support your application to be a duly nominated presidential candidate. And then if you score a third of the districts, in this case 37 districts, then the delegates conference will now choose among that. So the final say is the delegates conference. What the district conferences do is simply to endorse, like collect the following signatures to support your application. Now that process of the presidential primaries in UPC was interfered with and is now caught up in a lot of controversies and is marred with a lot of irregularities. There's been a commission of inquiry
What
which
is the,
was
what is
set
the
up.
position of the Electoral Commission?
Now the Party Electoral Commission,
No, the Electoral Commission of Wakojo.
now they have no say
They have
in
no
the
say.
No, but they have
internal
made a statement this
affairs,
evening.
and that's where now they are making a mistake if it's so, because we've also had
So is that undermining or
of course
strengthening?
that's undermines
Undermining.
Because you see,
what
for
does
me-
Chigundo have to do?
No, I'm not saying, I'm not talking about
the
Chigundo.
party.
Or
First, no.
Wakojo.
With the party.
First, don't bring Chigundo on the table. You're going to distort the discussion.
No, because he's saying they
No,
have
no,
made a
that is going to create a
We have
distortion.
had yesterday
Why?
also from radio
No, no.
announcements in some
No.
places.
That is going to
They
create
have made
a
a
distortion.
position
Yes,
that
thank
for
you very
them they are
much, Charles.
going-
I
they are
know.
going-
I know
you
the
don't
position,
know.
Charles.
What are they saying?
Thank you very much.
That they
But
are-
no, that is a distortion of the discussion.
That what?
Why
Protocol.
don't you want,
I'm
why don't you
telling
want
you,
the viewers to
listen.
know?
Protocol. I would
Can
like
I go
you.
ahead and
Yes,
say, what
I would
are
like you
these
to go ahead.
controversies?
Thank you.
What are these irregularities? While the Party Electoral Commission made of 9 were cross-checking and double-checking the SMSs as they were relayed results with the hard copies of declaration forms, then a group allied to Akena, the youth, stormed the party headquarters as like they're coming, slowly by slowly, snatching keys from the doors, is what we are told, and then they locked the doors and then commandeered the process and told the Party Electoral Commission to announce results. Now, the weekend, when the results were coming, 3 MPs, that is Betty Amongi, Ajok Lucy, Honorable, and Bile Bill, with one Dr. Como, and I think one Charles Ofono, locked themselves with David Balarene as staffer at the secretariat, of the party secretariat. Now, the commissioners, the Party Electoral Commission, were still up country. By the time they came on Monday, trying to cross-check and confirm, that's when this youth, allied to Akena, stormed the party headquarters, locked it up. The chairman was not there. Another commissioner complained that he had to complain that he had diabetes. So what happened was that they were forced to announce results they had not confirmed. Secondly, because under duress. Secondly, the text declaring these results was made on typed by the MPs, honorable MPs. Maxwell Akora, there was Betty Amongi, there was...
But
now, what
David,
they said...
David, we have had this
It
story.
was also faulty to say that declaring Akena as president-elect.
No,
They
no,
erred,
no,
because
no.
this was not... And
We-
then
we have had that narrative,
Then Akena
David.
calling now a constitutional meeting, signing as president-elect. There's a stranger
No.
in the party
But that's
constitution.
No, we have-
that
we have-
shows
we
a
have
weakness
had.
Now,
in the
absolutely.
the point I'm
that shows
making.
a weakness in the party.
This is
So you can't-
exactly the weakness of
Yes.
the leadership. This is what
Yes.
the point I'm making,
Yes.
which others have taken advantage of.
Yes.
And now...
Which is across the parties.
I hear you.
Yes.
And now, which is also across the parties, then the police come now in defense of one party.
I'm coming
which
to
is
that.
also again across parties.
Let me come to that.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So what do
we
we
are going to
have
take a
now?
break. We are going to take a break now, David. Let me hold you there.
Yes.
We are now going to take a break. But you see, the narrative that you are giving, we have had that narrative.
Excellent.
So really, that's what I was asking you. I mean, so this has undermined democracy.
Yes.
So what do we do as we go? Don't go away. We are going to listen to the panelists. I mean, therefore, what do? Do we throw our hands? Do we throw in the towel?
It's a bit too late for that.
Let's go for a
It's a bit too late.